Oh, I hope this thing's working. I'm trying a new mic, so hopefully it's working. And I'm still setting up. I thought I had plenty of time to, let me get a hat on. My hair is going crazy. A little windy here in Texas, so hopefully my internet's wireless. It's pointing at a radio tower, and there's a storm coming over it, so hopefully it survives. So we're going to see. Oh, I got it set up. All right, hold on. I know I missed last week, and I apologize for that, but as you can see behind me here, I still got my laptops and stuff for doing the conference coming up. And if you didn't know, the conference is April 4th and 5th. It's like 32 days away. I cannot believe that it is that close. But if you're watching this, come to the conference. I'd like to see you. The registration is orthodonticresource.com, and you can register there. I believe I think there's still I don't know, let me check. Is there yeah, there's still a early bird special. Sale ends March 1st. Oh, it's already past that. Okay, well, on here it's still saying it's still good. So anyway, come join me. If you're watching this years later, we have this conference every year around this time, around the 1st of April or so. So check Orthodontic Resource Group, orthodonticresource.com, and you can join me there. Those that are watching, let me know if you can hear. Again, I'm using a new wireless mic. I'm testing it out. Again, some more for the conference. And today is just going to be, I'm doing some retainers. I don't have anything fancy. I have some things that I got to get delivered in the morning. And here it is Sunday, and I have to work. But that's the benefits of, I guess, owning your own business. And if you don't know, my name's Cade. My wife and I own a small orthodontic lab out here in the country. We're in a small little, like a tiny home that we converted into a lab. It's like a 14 by 36 shed thing that we converted into a lab. So we do this lab out in the country. You just walk to work and back. So, you know, even though I got to work on Sunday, it's not that bad. But anyway, today's a basic Hawley retainer. Again, this is a 3D printed model, but what's interesting is I also have a bonded lingual, and they send me stone, well, just switch the camera, Cade. Not that hard. They send me a plaster model, and the plaster model, I actually like bending on it better because it helps my eyes, and you can see the differences, how dark this looks. And I use a white paper towel now for this camera right here because of these things. It zooms in way better on here when this camera is on. See? But when I do bonded linguals on a 3D printed model, they don't come out as well. I can't see it. This resin's not opaque enough. And so sometimes it comes out really clear. Depends on the resin. But you can see this used to have brackets, and EasyRx is my software I use, and it has an automatic bracket feature. But one thing that this office doesn't do is they don't take the wire out. So you can kind of see a remnant of the wire going through there. But it's pretty decent job for what it does. So let's prep this. I didn't even turn on all my stuff. See, I thought I was ready, but I'm not. This is a basic Hawley retainer, 3-to-3 labial bow. It's going to have some undercut wires. I don't know if y'all have seen me do this before. Y'all may have. And so what I'm going to do is just get a little, I'm going to relieve a little bit of the tissue. Because remember, in the mouth, the tissue is movable. On a 3D printed model or stone model, it is not movable. So I am pretending to move the tissue away. So again, I've made little indentions in there. And that the wire is actually going to go in between the teeth, right? In kind of like getting something caught between your teeth. It's taking advantage of the undercuts that are between the two teeth. I guess official word would be the embrasure area. So I can get my little wax here. Yeah, I thought I was ready for this, but I don't know. Let's see. Do I have? Yes, I do have volume. I think I have volume. Hopefully y'all can hear. Again, I'm testing out a new mic today. So I didn't even make a thumbnail. I just used an old thumbnail for the live stream. But I didn't want to miss this one. I've been missing them, skipping them lately, and I kind of miss them when I don't get to do this with y'all. And even those that watch it later, I get to interact with y'all also. Oh, dental things. Thank you so much. Mike sounds good. All right. It's a DJI. I always thought they just made drones, but I guess they make more than drones. But I like it. I always have to crank it up a little bit because my streaming software makes it sound really quiet. So I have luminary blue. Now I don't know about many of y'all, but the sad thing is I print this one, and I have to go pick this one up. So it kind of defeats the purpose of Sometimes 3D printing is nice because you don't have to go pick up. You only have to deliver it. It eliminates the need for picking up at the office because everything's sent over digitally. But in this case, they like to send these for me to do. I guess they figured I bend wires better on that. So, all right, I am going to put this over here. I have a fan. You can see my messy desk and all the work I have to do. But so I have that sitting on the fan. Let's see. I'm gonna cut the ends off of this. I have some trim pruners, I guess. I learned this from my old boss Jason, and you can trim the models with this. You do have to be careful. You can't break the model. Don't ever do this and turn inward. You'll split the thing in half. So you're just always going to go along the edge. But my model trimmer, I got to fix it. The water line broke and spewed water in here. We had an inch of water in this whole lab, all through this lab. And so I'm afraid to fix it again without any help, professional help from plumbers. I'm going to mark where I'm going to put this. I do like, and this I got this from this doctor. She likes them to go downward a little bit like that, downward a little bit like that, and I think this helps. Now it's only going to be an 028 wire, and all I'm going to do is just bend the 028 wire, and that's it. And I send it to her. She don't want any matrices or anything. She uses a cool system of holding the lingual arch, the lingual retainer in with floss. Gosh, well, I couldn't even think of floss. And she holds it in with floss while she bonds all the teeth on. So we're going to do that one. And then if we have enough time, I have a lower lingual arch. I'm going to spill that onto my video switcher. A lower lingual arch will fit some bands and bend a lower lingual arch. So obviously this is a 3D printed model, and we have ditched. Why do I keep using that camera? Use this one. We have ditched the molars in software so that we can fit bands on there. Otherwise, I'm taking a burr and doing this, and I don't like to grind on these too much. The stuff aerolizes too much. It gets. Oh, that dried fast. It's nice and dry in here, so that's good. Oh no, that is not dry right there. Still drying on there. But maybe I'll just go ahead and go straight into the bonded retainer. I guess when this publishes into a video, I can put what I make on there. Sometimes it's hard when I set the live stream to, oh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Sometimes it's hard when I set the live stream to choose what appliance I want to do. I feel like I do the same appliance over and over again, but that is true to life in the Ortho lab. Again, I'm just taking 028 wire. Sometimes I can do these really quick. Sometimes I can't. I get stuck on it. But she does want it as contoured as possible. And of course, all these teeth are a little bit different. They're straight. They're pretty straight. But there's always just a little bit of differences on the linguals of them. See how much I bent that in? I almost exaggerate that, didn't I? Yeah, let me back that up a little bit. Don't go too crazy. So again, we're doing a bonded lingual. I just remembered I forgot to turn something on. I got way too busy. I started messing with, I had that nice intro, and I thought I was using copyright-free music, but then I get alerts saying, no, you're revenue sharing now. So, you know, the few pennies I get per video, I have to share that with somebody now. So I started messing with some AI-generated music, and that's why I was late to the live stream. I got playing around with that. I was like, oh, maybe I can download something real quick. No, it wasn't to be, and I don't have my pliers. Nope, they're there. They were there. Found them. They were there the whole time. So I am gonna do something on my thing real quick. Like I said, I was messing with the AI and I was supposed to upgrade some stuff. Kind of a flying by the seat of my pants this live stream. I have the hardest time. I got these two red pliers here, and one's a cutter, one's a just parallel pliers, and I keep getting them mixed up. I guess the pliers do have a cutter on them, but they're on top and they're awkward. So I'm going to leave this, I'm going to leave in a little handle here, like so. There we go. Making sure I'm live like I want to be. Oh, I didn't have monetization turned on. You know, I forget about, I have YouTube Premium, and it's just almost a necessity when it comes to wire bending or, you know, work in a lab, because then you can get videos without ads in them. So I'm going to flip this around, look at a different view, see if I'm missing anything that y'all were probably seeing that I wasn't. Yep, missed a few things. I'm going to flatten this out with my little 3-prong and bump this up. So I've been toying with the idea of doing monthly webinars, just like to answer questions. I get a lot of, as I'm trying to do the online courses, I have those interviews I have with people that are interested in opening up their own lab or something like that. And I end up just ask my questions about what they need from the course, but I end up answering a lot of questions while I'm there. Hey, what do you use, for this, and what software to use, and all that stuff. So let me know in the comments or give me a thumbs up if you think you would be interested. It'd be a free webinar, and it'd be like once a month, and y'all can come on and ask questions or submit questions, and I'll just spend the whole time answering questions, not necessarily doing lab work, but I'll be in the lab. So, and depending on the questions, it'll be depending on where I'm set up at. Let me do my second coat. It's dry now. So yeah, I'll set up and just answer questions. It might have to do with, what's the layout of your lab? What's the building look like? What equipment do you use? All the way down to what software do you use to base your models? That kind of thing. I think I'm there. Am I there? Yeah, okay. All right. David, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. All the way from Facebook. Are there ads on Facebook? I don't even know. I don't have it turned on. She doesn't want these ends all the way to the edge of the teeth. Again, this is where I don't like doing these very much. I feel like I still need to tuck this down just a bit. I feel like that might be a tad bright. I'm just gonna drop it down, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's bright hot. This is where I wish we could play copyright music. Yeah, there we go. Let me get a different angle. See, I always switch angles in the middle of bending these. I just don't want to miss anything. I think I'm not touching here. Oh yeah, I am. And I just kind of look around. Try to get my bearings. Yeah. There we go. All right, so what I like to do is on these parts that are on the canines, the extensions that are, these canines are a little rotated, so that made it a little tough. So I like to take a burr, not a burr, this is a stone wheel, and all I'm doing is just roughening up the ends. One, I like to make it smooth, the ends, in case it sticks out, and I don't want to hurt the kid's tongue. But then it also provides a little bit of grip, a little bit of adhesion for the glue. So that'll work. So what I do now is I put this in the box, what I call the case pan. I like using case pans because you can put things like this in here, keeps everything together. Then I can put the model in here when I'm done with that, and it helps me keep things together. So let me grab this one right here, nice and dry. That's not right. That's right. There we go. All right, so labial bow. I wonder if I need to see. With these, I kind of need to brighten it up. But did you notice on the other model, I need to zoom out a bit, I think. So this is one of the first things I teach on my Wire Bending 101 course I'm making, which I'm down to about halfway done with it, is making this bend. This is probably the first bend you'll learn when you're wire bending, is that arch form you can do with your hands. Steve Zara, he has a cool turret thing that he does. So if you're an in-house lab tech and you're been digging around your doctor's drawers, that sounded bad. If you're digging around in the drawers of the in-house lab, the lab that's in the office, well, that really messed me up. You probably found a turret rolling around in there and you don't know what it is. I do have pictures of it in my Wire Bending 101 course. So stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already, if you haven't subscribed, again, I still try to go live every Sunday evening, but the time sometimes shifts around, and depending on how busy we are, family stuff. So if you subscribe and hit the little notification bell, it'll alert you. You'll get an alert. Hey, he's going live. So if I create one of these the day before or a few hours before, you'll get an alert. But you can always watch the recording afterwards. So and then that's the next bend I teach, is that right angle bend. And then I use this to make my loop. I really like these Young Coster pliers from Leone. Oh, that's funny. That speaking of Leone, I don't know if y'all have gotten a postcard for the conference. I keep selling the conference, but I'd love to see y'all there and meet y'all there. Leone sponsored this, so I thought that was funny. Leone sponsored the postcard being sent out. We have 3 wire bending machines there. So we're going to have a full exhibit hall. I think there's 13 dedicated exhibitors for Ortho labs. So we got Leone, we got Dentarum, JBC and Company. So where'd that? Oh, of course that falls down. So all these colors behind me, I get them from JBC and Company. I get these wires from JBC and Company. She's going to be there, and she'll be introducing her new splint mold, which is cool. Who else is going to be there? Hey Gears 3D printers. That website that I showed you has all the exhibitors that are there, but we have AOS, and they're going to be showing off their new, now reduced price MB1 Microbender 1. All right, so I'm running a little bit into the problem. At the very beginning, you notice I said that my software automatically took off the brackets. It usually does a better job, but if they take the wire out, and then scan, it does so much of a better job, but you can almost see that wire going through. So EasyRx AI has a little bit of a problem with the wires in there. Trust me, this is a really good job. But I've noticed that it leaves a little bump right here. So I'm just going to smooth that over because that doesn't exist in the mouth. And it's going to cause the wire to be too far from the model. All right. So I've noticed that I bend wires pretty good on some doctors. They finish them. Sometimes the canines are always just a little off, a little rotated to my liking. And I have the hardest time bending the wires around them. All right. I think I didn't even check the level. A little high, but I think we're good. All right. And let's do this. Now for the, I didn't even turn the pressure pot on. I was gonna sprinkle this. Turn my pressure pot on so that, oh, I forgot to pressurize the pressure pot one time, and that was not fun. You get the tiniest little bubbles all over the place. So this is 025 wire, and these are pretty easy to make. So they just go right into that little slot that I made with my burr, just like that. So let me get some pink wax. I'm going to wax it down. So you're actually going to cover the tip of this wire in wax, and then the acrylic's going to go over the top of it, so that the little tip of that wire is going to be free underneath the acrylic. So my hand's the acrylic, and that little tip of that wire is going to be free, and the doctor can bend it just ever so slightly to get the best retention out of there. Now, why would you use these, what I call undercut clasp or wires, is you don't want anything crossing the occlusion. So the only wires crossing the occlusion are right here distal to the canines, and usually that's not a big deal. Usually it's these crossing over the posterior causes the kids to bite on their wires. That could lead to some issues. Some doctors just teach their kids, when the retainer's in your mouth, don't bite down. You're not supposed to eat in these either. So then I always bend a little bit. No, I've used both those. That was a brand new piece of wire, so both ends were flat. But now I have, I don't know if you can tell how sharp that is. I don't know if you can see that at all. So I'm just going to take my heatless wheel and flatten that. You can also use a, where's it at? Here it is. This is a rubber wheel. And you get a nice groove going in the side right here, and it'll make it nice and round. Because these are going to be sharp just because they're the end of the wire. But you don't want it to poke fingers or tongues or anything like that. Well, I guess it won't poke the tongue unless they're pulling it out of their mouth with their tongue, which I have seen kids do. Now, when you wear these, the assistant and the doctors can tell if you've really been wearing them. A, if your teeth have shifted, it means you haven't been wearing them. B, you can't speak in them because it slurs your speech when you talk when you try to talk with these. But you get used to it. Your tongue starts adapting, and you're able to speak normal with these in. So if you're still not talking, if you're slurring your speech and stuff, that's one clue when you come back for your checkup that you haven't been wearing them, because your tongue's not used to it because you haven't been wearing it. Also, a lot of saliva. When you first wear these, your body thinks it's food, and so it sends a lot of saliva for you to try to start breaking down the food until your brain learns, oh, that's not food, and then you don't get a bunch of saliva anymore. So that is the second clue. I guess a third clue would be if you just can't put it in and out easily. Insert the retainer and pull it out very easy. You're kind of clumsy. Obviously, you don't have a lot of practice. So some kids can just cause a suction in their mouth and just pull it out with their tongue. And I can tell that same thing with rubber bands. You can tell a kid's been wearing rubber bands or not because, well, A, you start seeing movement in the jaw like you're supposed to. But two is they can probably hook and unhook within seconds, those rubber bands. But if they're taking 10, 15 minutes to try to hook it up in their mouth, you're like, oh yeah, you haven't been wearing these. You cannot fool the doctor. So this is flaring out just ever so slightly. Oh, I moved it. So I'm kind of gonna contour it more down, like so, so that it doesn't stick out in the acrylic. There is a slight adjustment I need to make here. I think it's a little high here. It's a little high right there. But those are just real tiny adjustments I can make after the retainer's done. Sometimes they're easier to adjust when the acrylic is done. All right, so we're ready for the acrylic on this. So let's change my camera setup here. Of course, dental things. Remember last time this thing froze up on me in the middle of it. I need to clean up my area here. So now you can see why I use this shelf here. It's easy for me to grab things. These are actually just shelves for picture frames. If you don't want to mount them on the wall, you put these shelves and lean them up. It's pretty fancy. All right, I found a pair of pliers I was looking for over there. What are we doing? What is it? Luminary blue. There we go. Luminary blue right there. So I have all my luminaries here on the top row until you get to this tooth. And then I have the royal color. So they're pretty much the same, except these glow in the dark, these don't, but they're exact same colors. And then I have all the opaque colors and stuff, and then the pearls. And so they're all kind of categorized. This whole thing on the bottom is glitter, or sparkles, I guess is what they call it. Let me get a brand new paper towel. You know, I gotta fake it like I keep this thing clean. There we go. Hopefully that will, do I need to brighten that? I get to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Boop. Okay. Y'all have probably seen me do this plenty of times, but I'm just making sure I have everything. All right. I usually start with monomer to wet the model so that when I put the first layer of powder, it doesn't just slump. See how if I did it on this side, it just would slide off. like this. So I like to put the monomer on first to keep that first layer of clear to stick. Now, I do that first layer of clear because I have to put a name in each retainer. It's state law in Texas, so if you're out of state, you probably don't have to worry about it. But that clear layer underneath the wires helps whenever I go to trim, especially with these like opaque colors that I'm using here. It doesn't cover up the wires underneath, and I can kind of see where I'm bolt trimming, especially with that wheel that I have, that white wheel. It trims so fast. All right, let's freeze this side. I'm gonna flip to the other side. I'm gonna put that clear down first. Put the clear powder down, wet that. Put the blue, this is glow-in-the-dark blue, or as JBC calls it, luminary blue. Now you may be wondering why I'm using all these, I'm squirting it on there like this. Looks like I'm putting a ton, but what I'm actually doing, blue has a real bad tendency, any blue, any manufacturer, to separate on you. So I usually, well, come on, get out of there. No, I got something stuck in the powder. There we go. If you do this, big drops like this, you can see some separation going on. Hopefully you can see that. Like right here, the blue gathers up together. So the big drops tend to do that, but if I do tiny drops, it does it not as noticeable, in my opinion. So a lot of the colors, I'll do that to it. I'm adding just a little bit more to these 7s back here, just to build up that acrylic. It's really thin there, and those break off easily. And the doctor does like the acrylic to touch the 7s, or second molars if you're not familiar with what 7s are. So then I take my knife here, my blade, and I'll just cut through a lot of this wet acrylic. Now if I wait long enough, this stuff comes off pretty easily. See, it's almost ready to come off. See how cleanly that came off? So this is what I'm looking for, a nice clean line, especially on these 3D printed resin models. This acrylic is hard to get off of these models sometimes. So you give yourself all the advantages you can, and having a place where you can slide your knife under very easily. Notice whenever I prepped it, I put a little bit of wax right here in this area, so my knife can slide into that wax to get up underneath the acrylic, so I can pull it off. And we'll probably separate this, and I'll show you what I mean. Ow, almost fell into the pressure pot. Oh, it's warm, good. I keep kicking it. All right, so next thing. Nope, this one. Nope, that's not what I wanted. This one? This one, hello. Well, that's curing. Let's do this lower lingual arch on, but we got to fit bands first. Ooh, these are some tiny molars. Man. I don't know if you can see over here in this, I don't have the camera set up right, but I have a band kit. Oh, this is lower. I need my lower. Lower left, lower right. Do they want bands, brackets on them? I don't know. I'm going to say yes. So I have band kits here. Let me see if I can move my wireless camera into position. I usually do the bending over here, the band fitting over here. You have to, again, you got to excuse all the mess. I got 3 laptops that I'm programming for the conference, but these I bought years ago from Fairfield Orthodontics. I don't use lowers very much, so I have plenty of stock. It's usually the uppers that we make appliances on. This is such a tiny, I'm going to start on this top row because these teeth look tiny. Let's start with a 6, and that is the wrong side. The reason I knew that is the hook's going the wrong way. So you always want your hooks to go pointing distally. So if I swing it over to here, maybe these teeth are bigger than I thought. They just look super tiny. Let's jump to sizes to an 8. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of looking at the gaps around it. This looks really close. Let's try a 9. Sometimes I'll pop up a 9. Now, whenever I start to weld, it does shrink the band material a bit, I've noticed. Makes them tighter. Same thing with soldering, too. And it may not be exactly tighter. It may just be stiffer. So let's get a knife here. I'm going to clear out some of these gums because they'll move out of the way in the mouth anyway, but they're blocking it from going down. So that's a 9, and I think I'm pretty close. It looks bigger than I would like, but I think it's doing okay. I do have a band pusher. I had a friend give, thank you, Leanne. I had a friend give me this. She had extra, and so it's just got a grip on the end. It's pretty simple, but it allows you to push these down. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 9s. That'll just give me, it's always better to go a little bit bigger than what you think will fit, and that's just a safety feature. That's just playing it safe, covering your butt, because too small won't fit the tooth at all, but a little larger will still fit and work just fine. It just will have a tendency to not be bonded very well because there's too much glue between the tooth and the thing. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the 9s. I know that they seem a little big, but the 8s were pretty tight. The 8s are probably the right size, but we'll go with that. Oh, look. I've already made it. Oh, let me switch cameras. I'll show y'all. So I've already made a lingual arch in here. You can see the old one embedded in there. So they're probably just replacing it. I guess the kid grew because this is down here. Usually I make them up here. So, and these are tilted back. It could be, you know what this is? This is a Herbst. This is a Herbst kid. So I made this kid a Herbst, and it tends to make the molars do this thing. So, yeah. And so it probably did its job expanding the lower or lengthening the lower. All right. So, 036 is the wire I use. Ooh, I don't know if that's going to be long enough. That's probably the exact amount I need, but I don't know if that's going to be long enough. Let's see. Oof, okay. Well, this feels pretty thick. Is this 040? No, it's 036. All right, let's get a 036 in here. Again, I'm doing my little trick where I'm making a nice little arch. And then I just bend, I do these little zigzag, well, bend those down. Try to make them the same angle. And one thing to kind of go for is how it looks there. Now, one thing I can do is use these 3 prongs to make the switchback. And one thing I just now looked over at my pan for is to see if these have adjustment loops on them. And let's see if I can. So this is EasyRx, so it does have adjustment loops. They do. EasyRx has a version without adjustment loops, so it depends on what the doctor needs. Let me flatten that down. I have to be careful when I tighten this down on this model holder that I don't splay out the model. I usually go between the bicuspids to start my loop if there's enough space. Sometimes things have collapsed down and there's not enough space. Now I'm using the smaller loop former on this. Usually on Hawley's I use this one, but I'm going to use this smaller one. Ooh, that's bad. I'd say I got it tilted the wrong direction. Let me flare this out. You want to flare it, you want it going away from the tissue. You don't want it impinging on the tissue. I still got to do that some more. So just flare this. So I'm just grabbing this whole thing, just like twisting it. Boop. Again, let me, right between those bicuspids. I'm going to double check. Sometimes there's less space on one side than the other. Boy, that Herps did an excellent job creating space down here, causing that lower jaw to activate growing. And now whenever I did that right angle, notice I did it kind of, let me cut this, it's hitting everything. I did it kind of at an angle this way. So, man, you know what I forgot to do? Messing with all that AI music and stuff, I forgot to start the background music, because I know how boring sometimes this gets, just watching bending going on. But, come on. This is a little tricky because this is so tilted backwards. Gotta hold this into position with my hands, and then I'm gonna mark this for cutting, and we're gonna cut it. Now here's the, oh, it's touching. I don't like it touching right here. Usually these lingual arches, you don't want touching any of the posterior teeth, because like this baby tooth needs to fall out, and that's pretty much what this lingual arch is going to do, is hold these molars back where they are, hold these up front, keep all this nice space here, and when these fall out, it's almost like it's you know, these are called space maintainers for a reason. They maintain the space. Oh, can you see the little dots here? You can see little dots. There are holes in the model where the something in the printer got blocked. Okay, now I got one side. Now this I'm going to laser weld, acting like I have a laser welder. I'm going to weld, so I need these to hit perfectly where I need them to hit. These look like they're in two different angles. This one's more flat. This one's pointing down more. I don't know if you can see that or not. Oh, I meant to play the music in the background. Again, come on. That hurts, that bend hurts my thumb. So I keep pushing my finger against this side to kind of hold it. It's rotating though whenever I do it. And so now to me, as long as I get one side exactly where I want it, I'll hold that into position every time, so I can bend the other side where I want it. I'm so close. So now I'm going to take this. I need this to get closer, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend this like that. And now I'm right up against it, which is almost perfect. I think I might leave that. I like it. Yeah. See how you can see how these things are flared out now toward the tongue. So let me wax this. Oh, let me cut this. Let me put a little wax on the front here. Hold this wire down in place so while we weld it, it doesn't shift around and we are welding it in the wrong position. And I make sure it's touching those teeth. I'm not trying to touch every single one of these teeth. I do a nice smooth arch. The doctors, you'll have to ask your doctor. Sometimes they want a nice smooth arch because the teeth will mold to that smoothness. Sometimes they do want it going in and out, touching each tooth. All right, so now the moment of truth. Is it touching enough that I can do my puck welding on it? I do have, excuse me. So I have my puck welder here. I've just turned it on. So activate that, saying yes, I do have eyeglasses on. And so I always use this far right one. I don't know if you can see that or not, for welding anything to a band. So there is my welder. Let me remove this, and I'm going to put a nice sharpened electrode in there. And that is my secret to, that's the secret, not my secret, that's the secret to this puck welder, is always using a nice sharp electrode, especially when you're doing something to a band. A nice sharp electrode will do that. Now what I do like, my thing being up here, is I can look up. I'm looking in the microscope, and then I can look up at the, make sure, double check my settings. Sorry if I block y'all with my, so you got to ground it. There we go. This is a Lampert puck welder, PUK D5, puck D5. There we go. There's that side. Let's do the other side. So I try to get a nice bead all the way down that thing. Can I zoom in? Can you? No? Yes, yes, yes. So I do a nice bead. Let me take this off. This is where those pliers I found over in my acrylic unit. So these are band removing pliers you actually use in the mouth, but they work great on the model. So I'm removing the bands, removing the bands. Do I have a knife over here? Please tell me. Yes, I do. Found one. I'm gonna get rid of some of that just so it doesn't prevent it from locking down. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a little bit of my heatless wheel. So it's always nice to have a handpiece nearby where you're wire bending and stuff. So I'm going to taper the end of that. Let me zoom in. I taper the end of that, and this one is going to be super long. If I took the time, probably could have curved it a little bit more, and that would have helped. Looks like I'm having internet issues. Sorry guys, I'm having some internet issues. I don't know why. It should be on. Okay, I'm using the wrong camera. Sorry about that. Settings, audio. Okay. Cord. And lost it all. Wow. That's wonderful. Okay. Sorry about that. I am trying to figure out what's wrong with this thing. That's those there. This will go here. And allow Come on. There we go. Oh, my hairy arm. All right. So then the audio should be, no, wrong one. This one. Okay. So we should be back. So I noticed my Wi-Fi wasn't plugged in directly. Like it was running off of Wi-Fi. This should not run off of Wi-Fi. It should run off of Ethernet cord. And I had it plugged in wrong or something. So plug that in. So I don't know how bad the internet was. But let's go back to this. So I've tapered this down. And now I'm going to weld underneath this wire on the back side. So I got the top side welded pretty nicely. Right there and right there. So let's switch over to here. And I really wish I could show y'all what I see in the microscope. But would help tons in teaching how to use this. I probably really need to contact Amper. I bet they have something. A lot of the laser welders have a monitor screen, which is great. And some have a HDMI out, which would be ideal to use for this. Because you see how just tiny this weld is. There we go. So I'm going to bump the juice. And it's going to give me a bigger weld here. And that's going to smooth off that rough area that I trimmed. Let me get back down. There's a little bit of a thing of plasma of welder. If you ever watch one of these in slow motion, it is very cool. But so here we go. Here we go. No. Here we go. We can see my little weld front and back. Got a nice taper on it. I usually feel it with my fingers to make sure that it is nice and welded. And that's it. That's all I use. And this thing is done. I'd probably what I will do is high shine it, and I can do a little bit of that here. I've gotten where I really get comfortable with that welder and not covering these. I used to cover these with solder. So this is just a bristle brush, and I have a little bit of thing of metal polishing compound loaded up on the bristle brush, and you can see we can high shine these joints pretty good. There's always just slight tarnish from the heat of the weld. So there we go. All right, so we are at an hour now. So we've bent a bonded, lower bonded retainer. We bent and sprinkled a Hawley, and we have fit bands and bent and welded a lower lingual arch. So last thing, let's take this out of the pressure pot and see if I make sure I don't break it in front of y'all. I dumped it in the warm water. I think that helps with the separation process. So here's the thing. We have run out of time to trim it, but I'm going to try to separate. So I slide my knife, and you see that it gives just ever so slightly. And so I'll slide the other side, and I'm just twisting, right? I'm not pulling this direction, and I'm not pulling it away from the model. So I'm going to clear off the wax here, and that's going to help to release it. So there is the final product. I'm covering up the name so you don't read it. You can see part of it there. And nice smooth on the inside. Some wax got transferred, that's fine. So I'll steam this because you want to get rid of these wax because it won't go back down because the wire pulled through the wax as it was coming off, so it's gonna be kind of rough there. So this is ready to trim. If I think about it, I'll take a picture of this and put it in the thumbnail of the recorded video of this. But that's going to be it. Thanks for hanging in there with me with all the internet issues and me bumping the camera. That is terrible. That's scary that happens. But thanks to StreamYard for streaming. So before I go, like I said, if you're watching the recording, you want to catch one of these live so you can ask questions live and I answer them live. Just hit the subscribe button and you'll get, and then the bell notification, you'll get notified whenever I schedule one of these live streams, and then hopefully you can join me. The next thing is in 30 days is this Ortho Lab, the largest orthodontic lab conference in the nation, in my neck of the woods, Irving, Texas, and registration is on orthodonticresource.com, and you can come see that and see the 3-wire bending machines we're going to have there. And we're talking about TADS, and we're going to talk about mesh mixer. We're going to, oh, I still have it up. You can look here at, one of these is going to help you. Mesh mixer for Ortho. This is a free lab software. Intro to TAD placement, appliance design, understanding communicating with next generation orthodontists, understanding the why behind the appliance. That's our Alan Hurt from Specialty Orthodontic Lab. Leveraging AI to streamline your digital workflows. CPR, we actually are going to have CPR, so if you want to get your certification, we're going to have that there. It's a $60 extra fee, just to let you know. New Horizons and Rapid Palatal. So this is a keyless. This doctor who invented this, it's actually an RPE that doesn't need a key to activate. It's got its own little key involved in there, so that's pretty cool. Economics of Ortho Lab ownership. So if you own your own business too. Oh, there's the key. Let's expand. I got it in there twice on accident. My bad. And then a laser welding class. So we just did a puck welding. So if you actually want to see a hands-on demonstration of laser welding, you got one of the technicians from Neo Lab, one of the largest ortho labs out there. And this technician's coming in, and that's all she does all day is laser weld. So she's very good at it. And then rebuilding the retainer making process, Dr. Neil from Shanghai, he's an orthodontist in China, has created his own software. And he likes to talk to the lab techs about, he's in combination with a wire bender and software. Anyway, you can scroll through here and see all this. I promise you, once it's over, you won't hear much from me about the conference, but I'd love to see you there. If you're watching this later after the conference, just know we do it every spring. Just go to that website, orthodonticresource.group. Do I have a banner? Yes. orthodonticresource.com. Go there and you can keep up with the updates and stuff. And you can become a member if you're a lab, or even if you're in-house lab tech, you can become a member. But with that being said, thank y'all for hanging out. And again, I always like doing this. And type any questions you have below. And again, type down below if you'd like to see a free webinar where I answer all your questions at once. And if you're interested in opening up your own lab, or you got some questions about equipment or digital or software or something, let me know. And I will get one of those scheduled. Maybe the first one will be after the conference. And we'll start promoting that. But that being said, until next week, happy bending.